some noise for your host, Kid Copious.
What up, perps? Kid Copious, back in the bunker. Purple State Party, representing America, common sense, and the center. There we go. Oh, look at that. Most of it didn't come out. Whoa. All right. So we're going to start off here. Something I think every American, probably every person in the world really needs to hear. There is no way to provide solutions to our current issues and still remain politically correct. These days, you will have to hurt some feelings and offend some minds in order to solve a crisis. That comes from Chad Prather. I don't know, maybe he's a country singer. I don't know. Good old boy. Texan. I'm not sure. I guess you can watch him somewhere, too. I don't know. I don't know who he is, but man, sometimes you hear a song and you think, oh, that was written for me, or I could have written that, or, whatever. You really take it personally. And that's how I felt about this when I read it. Because that's what it is. You look at, stuff like the border crisis, and, you can't be politically correct. You can't be politically correct when you're, in the middle of a high stakes intervention like a police officer. You can't be politically correct 24/7 and expect the world to work. It's the same in the environment. I mean, we want to go with electric vehicles, which are toxic and have toxic batteries in them that are far more bad for the environment. A great example is nuclear power. Nobody wants to use nuclear power, and it's efficient and it's clean, much cleaner than you think. Read about it. France does it. It would be like the French. But of all things that come down the pipeline this week, this was the one that really shocked me. It shocked me the most, and I for one am quite happy because I kind of like things that are a little bit off kilter. Caitlyn Jenner announces run for governor. I'm in. I like this woman. I idolized her when she was Bruce, and to be honest, I thought it was all publicity stunt at first, and she proved me wrong, and she's proven herself to be very articulate, very smart, very witty, uses common sense. Dare say purple state. Really, celebrities attacked her and said, hey, you're running as a Republican, they hate you, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Joe Behar misgendered her on The View several times. And Caitlyn's response was, I know what's in her heart. We have bigger problems in California than pronouns. Bigger issues in California than pronouns. Bigger issues in this country other than pronouns. And I'm all for transgender rights. I don't think they should be competing in athletics. I don't. And Caitlyn is a prime example of that, because obviously if she had competed back when she was, much younger, she would have dominated. Right? That's just the way it is. And that's, you can't always be PC and expect good results. And I'm glad she's throwing her hat in the ring, because it's gonna force people to see the Republican reaction, and it better be welcoming. I get it. She's a celebrity, and there's plenty of reasons. No experience. I get that. We've had governors who have had more or less experience, than other governors, and they've done fine. Trump was never an elected official, and I think he did fine as president. I hope she doesn't take votes away from other Republicans. I don't know. I mean, maybe the tide's turning here in California. I don't know. We'll see. But, I, for one, welcome her, because she is showing, much like another one of my heroes, Candace Owens, that the Republican Party isn't what people say they are. And we better stand up to the people who want to trash talk. I mean, it's one thing if you want to call her out on being a celebrity or not having experience. You can't really argue those, but leave the transgender issue out of it. It's not an issue. First female governor of California ever. That's what I'd like to see. I would like to see it be her. I mean, hell, Newsom had experience as a mayor, and he destroyed a city, and he became a governor, and he destroyed a state. So maybe, like Trump, maybe it's time to try people who aren't politicians. So, back to the world of politicians. Jen Psaki here, they throw her out there to say stupid shit like companies won't raise their prices just because we raise their taxes. Really? I mean, half of the corporations are in bed with China because of the dollar. The NBA has sold their soul, to China for money. So, that's a very naive position to take. That is a bald-faced lie because, it's not true. Not every company. Maybe there'll be some companies that don't, but a majority of companies will raise the cost of goods based on those taxes. That's just the way it works. They will hire less people, they will charge us more, and they will still figure out how to get out of as many taxes as possible because those are the rules of the game. Here's what you owe us. You tell us, why you don't owe us this. That's the rules of the game, and companies are really good at it. They employ accountants. What? Yeah, well, this was one of my favorite photos, Candace Owens was dancing there with Dana White. Dana White is another stand-up guy who does not allow wokeness to enter the UFC, nor should he. This is sports entertainment. I need a break from politics, man. I had too much damn politics, but she was up there dancing, And again, badmouth her all you want, but the fact remains she is a young black female who has chosen the side of the Republicans because she's tired of the Democrats using the black vote. Those are her words, man. I applaud her. I applaud Caitlyn. I applaud all the women and minorities and other orientation groups and religious groups, anybody who wakes up to the fact that they are being used. They're being used. Democrats are using you. BLM is using you. BLM takes your money, gives it to the Democrats, who turn around and use you. That's the truth. You show me something that contradicts that, because I don't see Democrats doing anything in the cities or states that they control to really help minorities. They say they do, but it doesn't. They lip service. If you want lip service, go down to the corner bus stop. It's the law of common sense. If too many people enjoy the free ride and not enough people help pull, the wagon isn't going anywhere. That's what we're facing with a lot of these tax increases, these green initiatives, this liberal hippy-dippy way of paying. We want to pay off people's college debt. We want guaranteed wages. We want reparations. We want to just hand out all this free money. Why? I'm a wreck, man. My body is a wreck going to work 5 days a week, man. Driving, walking, climbing. I'm tired, man. I got bad knees. I got a bad back. Both my arms are about shot to hell. I can't really do much with the family anymore because my legs are so tired at the end of the week. So some other motherfucker can live free. So my tax dollars are going to go to pay for some guy who didn't clean up his act. Man, whatever. Kimberly Kakalakik, I can't pronounce that. Klaksic, I don't know, I've never heard it, from Baltimore, If a 13-year-old is out stabbing people, carjacking Uber drivers, or running around with guns, please know you are a terrible parent. It's you, it's not the police, it's not the politicians, it's not the teachers, it's you, just you. That's what we have lost, in this progressive way of thinking. We have lost any parental responsibility. And we see what happens, Kids don't go to school. Their parents have to take care of them. Their parents have to oversee them getting on the computer and stay on top of them. And it's not working. And we're seeing that with these kids who are, that's not what I did when I was a kid. I did a lot of shit. But I never did anything that would end somebody's life other than my own. Or maybe some of my compatriots. So James O'Keefe is suing Twitter. It's about time. I'm not trying to destroy a country. I'm trying to save a country. I'm trying to be honest. I am trying to point out some of these things that are dangerous for America because I love America. I mean, that's just what it is. Boom. American superheroes right here. You know? We're just trying to even the playing field. We're trying to fight the big mainstream media by trying to bring a different point of view, trying to bring some facts out. As we're going to see through the rest of this video, there are a lot of facts that are just being misrepresented. And it's not helping, you know? Here's something else that doesn't help. If you're one of these people, stop doing this shit. She's wearing the Black Lives Matter thing, right? And they, instead of leaving a tip, they write all lives matter. That's fine, man. I believe all lives matter. I think that's the way we should look at it. Martin Luther King is my hero, and he would have wanted us to say all lives matter. All lives matter. But leave a tip and then leave that, okay? You know, we need to hold ourselves to a higher standard so that we can't keep getting brought down by lies and ignorant behavior. We need to stand strong as Americans. And Americans welcome other people's opinions and other people's values and cultures. You may not agree, but you have to accept it. This guy, Biden wants us to cut 90% of red meat, eat one burger per month. I'd start smaller, you know. But, you know, we're doing all we can. China is responsible for 30%. Greta Thunberg runs around talking about, oh, America's number 2. Yeah, we're number 2 overall. But China's got us doubled. China's responsible for 30%. And he ain't doing shit about it. And China's doing whatever the hell they want because they know that this nitwit can't do nothing. He's just a nitwit. He's too woke to move. He's not even awake, man. He's fucking catatonic. So, Tokyo Olympics apparently are back on, and they are not going to allow political protest. And that's the Japanese way. Kind of keep things clean. And I get it. I don't really care. I don't like it when people kneel for the anthem, but I get it. And honestly, I accept it. You know, I've grown to accept it, I guess. I guess that's the better way of putting it. I've grown to accept it. But, yeah, you know, I hope the Olympics go on. I don't want to see the Winter Olympics, though, you know. Japan has been a great ally and a shining example to the rest of the world on how to behave. Look up their subways. Look up, like, how clean their streets are. Look at how they cleaned their locker room after the World Cup. These are people who we should be supporting. And China is right there. And we may have to come to their defense. Personally, I think we're going to have to come to Japan's defense at some point in this Chinese incursion into the Pacific. Blacks, Latinos, Indigenous, and other people, communities of color continue to be hardest hit by the impacts of climate change. I don't even realize, I don't get where he comes from that. Now, I guess he's trying to say that climate change is racist somehow. I mean, you see why China doesn't fear this man. So, another thing that happened, Chauvin was guilty. Okay, whatever. It's one cop, it's one person. We really have bigger problems than that. You could say that it's the poster child for the overall problem. I don't buy that. I think it's a distraction. I think more kids are dying in places like Chicago every weekend than are dying from police officers. So maybe we should really work on that. You know, because it's the police officers who might stop the kids from getting killed. But, you know, whatever. And it's going to be, I hope America's braced for this because it's probably going to get thrown out. And why? This bitch. We've got to be more confrontational. That is less than what Trump said during the Capitol riots, which, by the way, is full of misinformation. We'll get to that. But, you know, she's out there just smashing justice. You know, she uses the police to get there, requests a police escort so that she could berate the police. Well, I really don't understand that, you know. She requested the police escort her so that she could talk shit about them. And the police did it because that's what the police are there for, to protect people. You know, we all know what happened with that girl, you know. And hours after Waters called for action, the National Guard was fired on. Huh. Wow. That's great. The judge in the Chauvin case, Maxine threw a wrench into the Floyd murder trial. And basically he's saying that, there's grounds for appeal. If they can show or convince the higher courts, the courts of appeal, that her comments influenced the verdict, and I think they did. I mean, when you have a mob outside, I don't even know why it was tried there. They should have moved it out of state. They should have moved it to a federal court. They should have moved it to fucking, I don't know, flatten out Epstein Island and hold the trial there. I'm sure we've got control over that island now. Some have taxes or something we seized it, I'm sure. But her comments are going to further this trial and further the violence and the looting and all of that. And it's one woman, because she stood outside and said, if you don't give us a first-degree murder charge, we're going to get more confrontational. If you don't vote, if the jury doesn't vote the way we want, we will burn this mother down. That's essentially what she was saying. Grounds for appealing the verdict. She urged them to stay on the streets, to get more confrontational. Again, I'm just rolling through some of the stuff that's here, but they're already moving for a mistrial, which means we're going to have to do this all over again because it might be granted. The White House, of course, said that, her words didn't mean anything. Okay, all right. That didn't work for Trump. You guys tried to impeach him, And then here's other people, Democrats saying, oh, I don't think she was advocating violence. Oh, okay. Yeah, And, the Maryland Democrat said that his belief that they could give defense grounds to appeal. I don't think it is, but it concerns me. Yeah, of course it concerns you. It concerns you because you tried to impeach Trump. And guess what? As it turns out, blam. The only people who died at the Capitol from the Capitol riots directly were people who were storming the Capitol. The police officer didn't die from being beat by a fire extinguisher. His cause of death had nothing to do with blunt force trauma. He suffered a stroke, and it was ruled natural causes. Now, you can say whatever you want. You could say it led to it, blah, 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 but that's not what they're saying. That's not what the medical examiner is saying. Not blunt force trauma. Trump supporters did not beat a cop to death with a fire extinguisher. They hit him with one. Still not good, but they didn't kill him. How many people is Maxine Waters going to be responsible for? If this thing goes to mistrial, the place is going to explode. Okay? She's going to be responsible for a lot more deaths and a lot more property damage. Candace Owens is back talking about, again, Black Lives Matter, being accused of fraudulence by Breonna Taylor's mother, and she's been saying it for 5 years, and she's been dismissed as an Uncle Tom because you have to get racist on her, right? She's a black Republican, so I guess you can call her whatever word you want. They're racist. They use the face of dead black people to fund and empower white Democrats. There you go. Oh, here's more people. Michael Brown, Breonna Taylor's family asked BLM, where's the money? Meanwhile, this poor 7-year-old was shot to death at a McDonald's drive-thru. 7, and she was shot 6 times. 6 times. And BLM doesn't do anything. They haven't done anything. They haven't done anything to help any community, to help anybody. All of their money goes to Democrat candidates and them damn selves. I mean, look it up. I mean, I believe the head of PETA makes something like $100,000 a year. What are these BLM fascist or Marxist leaders making? It's ridiculous. They've raised billions of dollars. They haven't done anything. No housing initiatives, nothing. All bad money, and they've done nothing. So does Black Lives Matter? Is that what it stands for? Buy large mansions? Bring me lots of money? So from one group of piece of shits to the king piece of shit here. This Bryant story, man. Cop rolls up, There's a foster child who is in an argument with the family, and she's got a knife, and he's trying to break it up. She grabs a girl, slams her up against the car, and raises her knife, and the cop shoots. And LeBron James tweets out, "You're next." What if somebody acted on that and killed that officer who literally saved a life, literally saved a black life? He didn't shoot her because everybody there was black. So you can't claim that. He saw a knife go up, a big ass knife, by the way. Don't tell me you can't see it because it's big as fucking day. And he shoots her, and LeBron James says, "You're next." And then he tries to explain it, why he deleted it. Of course you deleted it because you were wrong. Because it was a cop doing his job. A job you're too much of a pussy to do. Yeah, he's a racist. Hates white people, apparently. Okay. So, all you white NBA fans, the police union goes after him. Of course they do. Because he's calling for violence against a police officer who literally performed his job exactly how he asked them to. He tried to get them to stop. First of all, didn't have time to deploy a taser. Taser is a lot less accurate, okay, and is not necessarily going to stop somebody. He didn't have quick access to his taser because that's usually on their non-dominant hand, so they're going to go for the gun first, which they have to do because their job involves life and death, right? You can't shoot somebody in the leg. I don't know if you've seen the video, but you can't shoot somebody. If you manage to hit somebody in, say, the thigh, there's a good chance that you're going to sever the femoral artery and they're going to bleed to death. And it's hard to hit. It's much harder to target. The leg's moving a lot more. It's smaller, blah, 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 blah. You're not going to shoot the gun out. Don't believe Hollywood. You're not going to shoot the knife out of somebody's hand. If somebody stood there and held a knife up, that cop probably would not be able to shoot it out of her hand with one shot. But you know what you can do? You can shoot them in the torso. That's the real world we live in, folks. You need to live in the real world. Get out of your TV, get out of your movies, get out of your video games. It doesn't work that way. This is real life, split second. Next time you see something like this, just think to yourself, what would you do in that situation? When you completely fail at becoming Michael Jordan, so you become Colin Kaepernick instead. Yeah. That's kind of what he's done. I mean, he's taken it too far. He's a fucking hypocrite, man. He sits there and he uses the police to escort him places. And then he's just going to call for violence to happen to a police officer without even knowing the facts. Didn't even know the facts, and he's tweeting that shit out. That's why Cruz blasted him. "You're next." What do you think that means? Do you think you would like to hear that tweet about yourself? A big celebrity saying, "You're next." And of course, here's they kept trying to say, Makia or whatever, Ms. Bryant was the one who called the police. No! She got into a fight with the foster family because she wouldn't fucking clean up. That's why. That's the truth. That's what happened. So we're going to move on to some of the funny, fast, and furious ones that I found here. When somebody tells you you need to check your facts, and then they share a link to a CNN article. CNN is just propaganda at this point, folks. If you want to get a degree in underwater basket weaving, fine, your choice. But we shouldn't make truck drivers, waiters, and waitresses pay for your personal journey of intellectual exploration. Ted Cruz. What a world we live in. I'm siding with Ted Cruz. Wow, okay. Stop driving with your mask on. Masks don't work, folks. They can conceal your identity, but they're not going to stop the coronavirus. Virus is aerosol. If you could smell through your mask, you could inhale something as small as the coronavirus. So, unless we want to start wearing bubbles, stop driving with your damn mask on. You look like an idiot. Well, it's Riot Day in Portland again. Great movie, Groundhog Day. It just keeps repeating itself. And now Portland's going to pay so that shop owners can get graffiti and stuff removed. Okay. Yeah, that's good. So you let them burn your city and then you pay for the damage. That's a great way to run a city. Other cities should take notice and do it just like Portland. Pelosi thanks George Floyd for dying. Yeah, he was in and out of jail like 5 times, including like some armed robberies and stuff. Like, he was he was thinking only of himself. Hey, just like Nancy. They had a lot in common, didn't they? You know, he was high on fentanyl and she's drunk on white wine and expensive ice cream. Bronco, making it back into the top spots here. This is a quote from Martin Luther King. Judge not by the content of his character, but by the color of his skin. Of course, it's reversed in Martin Luther King's version, but whatever. You want to blame Whitey, go, whatever. I know what's in here, man. I know what I've done. I know what I stand for. So, call me what you want. I don't really give a shit, because I know you're wrong. So you're just, again, lip service, take it to the bus stop. See right here, Stanford study, face masks are ineffective to block transmission of COVID. So what the fuck have we been doing? What have we been doing? We are Americans, man. We are Americans. Battle of Midway in World War II. Torpedo bombers had to fly really low and slow to drop their torpedoes on the Japanese fleet. And sitting low and slow, and they didn't have fighter cover. And they were just shredded. The torpedo bombers got completely wiped out. And you want to know something? They didn't even know that their torpedoes would work, because they had a big problem with torpedoes going too low, not arming, all of these problems with torpedoes. It was if it hit, it worked, but it needed to work. And they went in, man. They went in. Dusty Cleese was in a dive bomber. And they knew that if they took on the fleet, they would barely have enough fuel left. When Dusty landed back on his carrier after bombing one of the aircraft carriers, he had less than 5 minutes of fuel. And a lot of his buddies didn't make it back. They ran out of fuel. And they crashed into the Pacific Ocean, in the middle of the fucking largest ocean out there, man. They crashed their planes. But they got the Japanese, and in one day we decimated their fleet, because that's what Americans are supposed to be, man. We're supposed to be tough. We're not supposed to run and hide from things and try to take the easy way out or the safe way out. No, we face things, man, head on with the courage of our forefathers and those who went before us in the greatest generation. Oorah! Now we want to hide behind mouth diapers. Yeah. So this one made the list just because I just found this hilarious, and we were just talking about Midway. I could point to it, but Midway is just a little bit northwest there of Pearl Harbor. So this is how flat earthers would see it, which of course, what we all know, is not the way it actually went. But I just found that so amusing. So we get to this one. This is a screen here of what? 20 world leaders, including Joe Biden, and Joe Biden's the only one wearing a mask, and people were poking fun at it. And this is the kind of stuff that needs to stop. The truth of the matter is, he was not the only one wearing a mask. Others wore masks. It is kind of ridiculous that he is vaccinated and wearing a mask. That part I'm fine with, but he wasn't alone in the room. There were other people in the room. Other leaders were wearing masks. People would come up to give them things. They'd put the mask on, whatever. But we can't fight our war this way. We can't fight a war where all it takes is 2 minutes of fact-checking, of just looking at the fact that there was 20 other people on the screen, and then people cut it down to just the ones who are not wearing masks at that one time, during that split second of time. It's easy to disprove, and it makes us look bad. We have common sense on our side, for the most part. Don't get me started about a few of the crazy things that we have out there. There's a few things I do really strongly disagree with Republicans on. One of them is legalizing weed. The other is trying to outlaw abortion. I think both of those. Legalize weed and just... abortion's ugly, but it's an ugly world we live in. Sometimes... But we can't lie. We can't make shit up. We can't get caught with this, man. We have to step up and show that we are inclusive, that we are forgiving, that we are honest, and that we're trying to do what's best for America and the people who are Americans. And then we also want to do right by the world. We want to be able, we got to protect Taiwan. We got to protect women around the world. We got to stand up to the UN, who thinks that fucking Iran should be on the commission to promote equality for women. The Democrats are fucking idiots. They're dumb, and they have bad ideas and bad ways of going about things. But we're not going to break through if we keep using lies. We have the truth on our side. We don't need lies. Copious out. Keep it the fight.